Welcome back to Beyond the Tube. Today, we have got a very special episode for you. We are doing this exclusively on YouTube, and we have got Hilarie with us again, who is going to go through some incredible new technology that she has come up with to help our tubey kids and how to introduce or continue on your blended tube feeding journey. We're going to blend up a recipe to show you what those steps look like. We're going to talk about storage. We're going to show you what Hilarie recommends, but also I will give you an insight into what we do with Ezra as well. So hopefully this is a really practical, useful tool that is something that if you're starting on your blended tube feeding journey that you can refer back to and use this as a stepping stone to get started. Or if you're already started on this journey, this is some very interesting and useful tech that you guys can download at home to help you increase your repertoire and recipes. So stay tuned and welcome, Hilarie. Or welcome
Thank you.
back, I should say.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This is such a fun format. I mean, it's nice to talk about stuff, but when you can actually see things in action and see the tools and just how easy it can be, I think it just takes a lot of the pressure off and a lot of the stress. So I'm excited to be here today.
I agree. And I'm just so excited to see you do it and pick up any tips and tricks.
I bet there's something I'll learn from you today. I have learned the most from parents and being in different groups and having our own group now. Because there's a lot of things you have to jerry-rig together and figure out on your own as a parent in the medical space. And I've learned a lot.
I think it's good, this community, because everyone's so open with sharing, because everyone's trying to come up with new ways, new ideas, different ways to do things. So yeah, we're very lucky that it's such an open and sharing community. So what have we
Yeah.
got? Tell me what you've got planned for us.
Yeah. So I have so many recipes I could share. It was hard to pick one because everyone has different needs and different styles of eating and different dietary preferences. And just, there's like sick day, holidays, breakfast, lunch. There's so many different types of recipes, but I wanted to go with a community favorite, which is a simple peanut butter and jelly with some yogurt, and fruit. And then I want to also show you how you can calorie boost it and just the things I think about when I am doing a blend.
Perfect.
There's so many ways that you can get started. You can be as simple as just making a plate, like, taking a plate like this and filling it up with food, putting it in the blender with some liquid and blending it up.
Perfect.
That's a little scary for most people getting started because so many people have not fed their child before. Maybe their child has a lot of volume intolerance or sensitivities, really needs high calories. And so that feels stressful. And then you're going to the computer and doing the nutrition tracking. And then you have all these spreadsheets and then you go to the kitchen and you make it and it turns out like sludge. And you're like, well, I don't have any more time to make another recipe. So
Yeah.
I have found it's the easiest to have recipes to follow that have some structure to them. So you know what the nutrition is. You don't have to think about it. But I also don't think it has to be a science experiment. So sometimes blends with how some clinicians teach is we want to be super nutritionally complete, meaning you throw every 12, 15 foods in the blender to get the perfect nutrition, but then it doesn't really feel like a normal meal. What I hope to show you today is that blending can look a lot like any other plate that you would serve to anybody eating by mouth. There's a lot of things you can blend. Maybe if you haven't experienced this before, you might think you have to avoid certain foods, but with good blenders, you can blend a lot of different food, which makes that really. I chose the peanut butter and jelly because, at least over in the States, like most moms have made their child a peanut butter and jelly at some point. And I think it's just kind of fun to like show that you can have regular. I like to try to have at least a few of the food groups. So we have our fruits, veggies, carbs, protein, dairy. You don't have to include everything at every meal, but I like to think about those food groups and try to at least incorporate some of them. So we have our bread. Everyone's on sourdough kick lately, so I got some good sourdough bread.
Nice.
We have our peanut butter and jelly.
Yes.
And then some Greek yogurt.
Yum.
Just
I can see it. Yeah.
And then I love using frozen sweetened cherries. They're a higher calorie fruit, and
that's good to know.
They make for pretty blends. They make the blends like nice, which is I think fun too.
Yes.
When I think about this, like you could make a peanut butter and jelly, get a side of fruit, and put it in the blender, and I think that would be an easy way to get started. But if you don't like to guess and you want to follow a recipe, this is an awesome one that I think is great. It's 1.5 calorie per ml. So it's very high calorie, very thin. I have my bread for my carbs. I have my peanut butter for some protein and fat.
Mhm.
I got some Greek yogurt for some good calcium and vitamin D, as well as some whole milk. I like to
Mhm.
blend with whole milk for getting extra calories in. I don't use it in every blend, but if you blend something with water or juice or broth, it really dilutes it, so you have to be very, very mindful of what you're putting in the blender if you're using only water and broth. I got my jelly. So this is a good calorie booster, about 60 calories in a tablespoon of jelly. 1 tablespoon for us is 15 mLs for you guys. And
Yeah.
so that's very much fine when you can add a lot of calories with that stuff. So
Yeah, absolutely. And for our Australian and UK viewers, jelly, remember, is jam. We call it jam.
yeah, correct me through this if I have words that are not making
No,
sense.
I mean, look, I feel like most people know about PB&J, so they know what jelly is in reference to this recipe. But just in case, if anyone's like, do I
What
have
is
to
that?
make
Yeah.
jelly for this?
Let's fix
No, you
this.
don't. Just use some
Yeah.
jam, any kind of jam. Yeah. So is that just like store-bought jam?
Yep. It is store bought. This one's a fun one I got from a store here that is like chia seeds and smashed berries.
Oh, ah,
So good. I love to just like eat it by itself.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Sounds
So
delicious.
what I do is, I mean, this part isn't rocket science. Like if you have blended anything before, smoothie or um, maybe a milkshake or something, it's as simple as putting food into the blender. You
Yes.
might find that some blenders say to do like liquid first or to do your solids first.
Mhm.
I honestly have not found that it makes that much of a difference if you
Okay.
are syringe feeding.
Yes.
Pump feeding, because it has to go through a more narrow tube, that means it needs to be really for sure liquefied, a complete
Yes.
pureed form. And sometimes things like, nuts and seeds, these tougher pieces, don't blend up as well. So some blenders will say to do liquid first and then do those. So you can always look at your blender manual and
Okay.
start that way. But I find 90% of people that I, in our community or that I work with, don't pay attention
Mhm.
to that. And it's fine. So I
Yeah.
think it's one of those like, don't worry about it until maybe it's a problem because
Yeah.
it's just one
Just
extra
give it a
step.
go. Just give it a go. Yeah. I mean, the other thing I've seen that people do is after they finish the blend is to run it through like a strainer so that
Yeah.
any of those bits of, nutshells or any of the nuts and things like that, or chia seeds, things that haven't broken down as well, you're catching it. I think you're right. It's probably okay with the syringe. I haven't had issues. I've used nuts and chia seeds and haven't had an issue with the syringe, but I want to start trying to do it through our pumps. I'm trying to phase out all of the synthetic milk products that we use and just going back to like a natural whole source because I just think it's better for the gut. And I see better behavioral responses when he's not having synthetic formulas as opposed to real food. So that's what I'm going to try is blending it all. I just chuck it all in. I'm a throw it all in and blend it until it's nice and thin, but my thought process was to just pop it through like a sieve or something and just make sure it's really nice and thin so it will go through the pump easy. Do you have people that do that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think you always have to do it. If you do, my experience is a 14 French feeding tube or larger and syringe feeding. It's not really necessary. If your child has a 12 French or smaller, sometimes you might want to do that, especially if it's like raspberries or berries, nuts, seeds, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
The one thing to caution on though is if you're using a blender that is not as high tech.
I bought a Thermomix because I find that that's really high power and that works really, really well. And then I did a huge amount of research on what had the highest wattage so that it would give me that really good breakdown. So I've also got just like another store bought sort of blend, like very similar to what you've got right there on the bench. It's not a blend tech. I can't remember what the brand is, but it's another brand. I can pop the details of what I've got and maybe we can pop some recommendations in as well in the show notes, just so that if anyone's looking, and I know there's a huge variety out there that different people recommend. The best tip I got, and I imagine you're going to say, yep, I say the same thing from our dietitian was look at the highest wattage because that will give you the smoothest and the best blend. And I have found that to be so
Yeah.
far true.
Yep. Yeah, and in the States, I think a lot of people use Blend Tech or Vitamix and
Yeah,
for the
Vitamix, I think, is another popular one here. Yeah.
and any Vitamix or Blend Tech works well. So you don't necessarily have to get the highest watt of that because that can get pretty
Okay.
expensive. But if you're looking for like a Ninja or another standard blender, that's a good tip for that. Some are still not going to get like even a Ninja doesn't necessarily break down like whole almonds or I'm going to throw these nuts and seeds in here to show you guys later how these blenders are. But it kind of it's hard to say, but if you were to throw it through the sieve or the strainer and there's a lot of food left, that is and that's getting lost in the strainer. And that's not good over
That's right.
time. Fiber and some good nutrients. So if you're running it through and you're catching just a little bit, that's totally fine. Use this,
Yes.
save yourself the headaches of the pump beeping and all of the issues. But for the
Yeah.
most part, if you're using a blend tech, a Vitamix, probably don't have to throw it through the strainer if you're syringe
Mhm.
feeding in French or larger. I think I would probably start just straining it because you're just getting started. You want to avoid one more issue. Throw it through, see what you think. Some families will tell me, well, like my strainer's not catching anything.
Yes,
It's
that's great.
so then you're like, okay, it's fine. But it could just you're blending something like, peanut butter. There's no tough pieces. You
No, that's right. Yeah.
sweet potato without a peel, some soft boiled chicken, Greek yogurt. Those things are all going to blend really well, and you don't need a hard blender to get it to, break down those pieces.
How does bread blend? I haven't done bread before. Does that
No,
blend quite well?
yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
does. So
That's so
obviously, there's
cool.
so many different types of bread, so you can get ones with a lot of nuts and seeds and oats, and maybe that would cause a little bit more of a issue for a standard blender. It blends pretty well. You can like any carb, the more you put in there and starchy food, the thicker it's going to get. So, be mindful of how much that you're adding. If you add 4 slices of bread, you're going to get pudding that's not going to go through the tube. So that's where the
Yes.
trial
It's gotta
and
be
error.
balanced.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a little daunting to hear sometimes. Because like, well, how am I supposed to know how much to put in the blender? That's why I think recipes are so helpful because then
Mhm.
about it. And you don't always have to use recipes, but I always tell families I'm working with and in our online community, if I was to make a recipe for the first time, like from Scampi or something, I wouldn't just wait. I would go and find a recipe because I don't want to make something that isn't going to turn out and just be frustrated.
That's right.
The first few times I make something for the first time, I use a recipe and that's totally fine. And then I get comfortable and then I don't. So I think it's just a good tool if you're not someone that wants to spend hours in trial and error and calculations and all of that.
Me.
Yeah, me either. I mean, we only have so much time in the day. So,
I don't love cooking. And I don't think I'm very good at it. It's not something that is natural for me. So having to do this does give me flashbacks to having, a baby starting solids, as I know you're completely across. And yeah, it freaks me out a little bit because I think you're right. You want to give them a bit of everything. You want a bit of protein. You want some fruit. You want some veg. You want some dairy. And like you said, maybe not everything in every recipe all the time, but you do want to have a good mix in each recipe. To come up with that yourself can be challenging. I know there would probably be people, and we've talked about this offline, that are like, well, yeah, well, I'll just use AI. It'll tell me what to use. Absolutely. You definitely can. What it's not going to do is actually tailor that to one, what will suitably go down a tube. These recipes are tested. These recipes are tried, not just by you and your team, but by families that go, this one works really well, or this one was a bit chunky. I would only do that through, a bolus feed as opposed to a pump feed, or thin it down a little bit more, add some more milk or add some more water or whatever it might be. But you're not going to get that with AI. I also think it may struggle to tell you exactly what the calories are if you're changing volumes. So if
right.
we're going to increase or double a recipe, it might get a bit lost in what the calories are. Whereas again, all of your recipes, we can increase the size and it will keep that at, your 1.5 calories per meal or whatever it is.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's another piece of the puzzle where when you're getting started blending, you're like, am I gonna have to blend before every single meal? Like, do I have to really do this every single time?
Yeah.
Especially the way that we teach where you're not giving a full recipe that you split up into the day. We are encouraging different meals throughout the day, but we're not encouraging somebody to blend 4 times a day. So what I
That's
want
right.
to do with this recipe specifically is, as written, it might make you 2 to 3 meals, but we could theoretically double or triple the recipe, fill the blender, and have 10 meals ready to go, throw them in the freezer, and then it just saves so much time. I think that makes sense too when you're intuitively making a meal. Yes, you can probably use something like this and have your portions and you have your one meal, but then you're doing it again in 3 hours. And I don't think
That's
that's always
right.
practical.
It's not very practical.
That's why I love this too. And the app that we made, Blend Buddy, it allows you to make swaps for what you have on home. You can look up based on ingredients. If you have a lot of spinach, you're like, I just need to use my spinach. It'll show you all the recipes. So we just have so many that you can use where, yeah, you can change them for your needs, but you can also easily get started because there's just so many to choose from.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I can show you this recipe. I mean, I don't know
Yes,
if
let's do it.
I'll put it in the blender, show you kind of what it looks like, and then we'll get blending. And then I have some extra tips to share. But I do want to show you too this, like the blade here. You'd think that this would
Mhm.
not be able to get it to
Yeah,
liquid
you
form.
would. It's just
I
one
know.
blade.
When I got this, I was like, "Are you sure this is going to work?" But it's. I mean, I want to show you just how powerful this is. So
It's
this peanut
amazing.
butter and jelly recipe has
Yes.
2 pieces of sourdough.
Mhm.
So you could throw them in the whole piece. It really works. But I'm going to help the blender out a little bit and just rip it up a little bit to put it in the
Yeah.
blender.
Yeah. I feel like I would need to do the same thing as well. I just in, like, my mental state, I'd be like, "I have to rip this up."
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be fine.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
we have our Greek yogurt. So again, this is
Okay.
I don't know why I keep showing this. You can't see it, but this is a 4 cup of Greek yogurt,
Awesome. Yummy.
3 tablespoons of peanut butter. I
Yum.
went with a little extra with this because this is a higher calorie blend. Um,
Okay. Yep.
that I'm trying to pack more nutrition into a smaller volume for
Yes.
the kids that really struggle with the volume intolerance.
Yep.
And you would be surprised when you make a peanut butter and jelly how much peanut butter you actually put on. At least for me, like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
tablespoon is not that much. So
No.
3 tablespoons is like probably what I put on most of the time. So you might have made a
Yeah,
peanut butter,
when you're making a sandwich, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
and then
I like my peanut butter heavy, so I'm with you.
but
Yes. Yeah.
when I was testing this out, I was when I first made it, I was like 3 tablespoons seems like a lot, and then I made it, and I was like, I think I probably would have put more, three
Yeah,
tablespoons.
I
So
think I need more. That's
yeah,
right.
and a tablespoon of peanut butter has 90-ish calories, so that's a great way. It's a lot of calories
Like,
and good.
bolster those calories. That's good to know. Yeah.
Yep. That's why I love nut butters. There's so many different options, or seed butters if you have intolerance to nuts, because it's smooth. It doesn't tend to thicken a blend. So if you need
Right.
calorie boosters, nut butter is a good option.
Love that.
I wanted to do some jelly or jam for this
Yeah.
peanut butter jelly as well. But I also like that this balances out the fat and carbohydrate in a recipe. Sometimes, you're trying to get so many calories and you're dumping all of this fat-based stuff in there. And if you think about eating, let's say I was putting olive oil in this for more calories, peanut butter plus olive oil plus bread and the nuts I'm going to put in there. That could be kind of heavy. So
Heavy,
I think it gives a good balance to throw a
for
little jelly in
sure.
it. And then we have our frozen cherries, which again, it's going to
Yeah.
make blend a good color. And then we have 180 mLs or 3/4 cup of whole milk.
Okay. So
And
that
that's
just helps us to sort of thin it down a little bit, make it nice and liquefied, and help it move through the syringes and the tubes.
yes, exactly. And it probably wouldn't even blend with maybe the yogurt would help it blend a little bit, but
Mhm.
we've done an experiment to show you that it wouldn't work. So you're always going to have to add liquid to your
Okay.
blends, milk,
Yep.
juice, water. And you could use water instead of milk for this. There's the good peanut butter and there's jelly that's high calorie. That it
Mhm.
probably would be that what's the opposite? Nutrient dense, whatever the
Yes.
opposite nutrient dense
Yeah,
is.
it would be deficit? Yeah.
Yeah, but I like to think too about like how maybe you would eat this by mouth. It wouldn't be maybe atypical to feed your toddler a glass of whole milk with their peanut butter and jelly.
Definitely.
But if you're
100%.
looking at that and you're like, I don't know if I would, maybe it's, I don't know, like the shrimp scampi. I don't know if I would want to blend whole milk in my shrimp
Probably
scampi.
not. No.
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
don't
you
know
can
if that
think
would
of it that
taste
way.
great if we were looking at how you were gonna eat it at a
Yeah,
table. Like, yeah.
right. And that's how I like to think because I want them to smell good. I want them to be appetizing. I know that the kids aren't necessarily always involved in the cooking, but if you're an adult with a cooking tube, you don't want to blend it and be repulsed by the food that you're going to give yourself. At least I know I don't. And a lot of families I talk to. I mean, that's as simple as it was measuring out the ingredients in
So
here.
easy.
And, there's obviously foods that would take more prep, but there's so many ways to minimize that or boil a bunch of chicken one day and chop it up and put it in the freezer.
Yes.
The next few times you need to use chicken, you have it there. So it can be as easy as this. I would blend. This is a 50-second cycle. It's
Okay.
important to do a couple cycles, or it's going to feel like a very long time. So get something else done under the dishwasher or something. You mentioned too the settings. That's always a good question,
Yes.
right? Like, you put your
Yes.
settings up. So some families find it best to start on like a lower setting and then gradually increase from there. You're getting like close to the 9 or 10 or like the medium to medium high or high.
Okay.
The one thing that a lot of blenders have is a soup setting, and that is going to
Yes.
heat food up. And so I find that's not the best for it. If
I
you're
agree.
a very hot blend, your motor's going to overheat, especially if you're doing a few cycles. So if you have a smoothie
Yep.
setting goes a lot better. But I usually
That's
just
what I
start up
use too.
on low and then kind of work it up to high.
Yeah, it's blending really well. Kind of nice color coming through. I can see a bit of that pink in there. Maybe not quite good enough to eat, but still looks good.
These cherries might not be as bright as I hoped. Sometimes cherries
Yeah.
give that bright color, but like food is
I
just
can see the pinky tinge in it though. I can definitely see that lovely pink tinge in it. Yeah, it's for sure.
like this. It's like just bright, bright, bright.
And look, this is the thing using natural, real food, isn't it? Like if the cherries aren't as bright because that's the crop that came through, that's the way it looks, like
Right. Yep, yep, for
sometimes
sure.
it changes.
So this is how it looks right now.
Yes, it's nice and
Actually,
runny.
pretty smooth. I think I need to add a little bit more milk to it because
Okay.
it's a little bit thick. I find between cycles it can be helpful to scrape the bottoms of the sides down
I'm with
because
you. I do the same
it,
thing.
there's pieces, there's pieces that are getting on the top here. And when you
Yeah.
blend, the food is, sprays up the sides. And so it doesn't always stay in with the blades. It also can be helpful too to rinse off the top after a couple cycles. If you see that there's some unblended, yeah, let's do another 50 seconds. I'm going to stop going a little bit early because I do want to throw in these nuts and seeds and the dried cranberries because those are the tough pieces. So here we have some, one of my favorite little nut mixtures. We have some pumpkin seeds and dried cranberries and candied pecans. So this would be something where you're like, I want to get some extra nutrition in there. There's about 45 calories in 1 tablespoon of this. So it adds a
Okay.
lot of nutrition and calories. But I also want to show you the power. Yes. And I wish you could smell this. It's like an enhanced peanut butter and jelly because it's like got the good peanut
Yum.
butter and the jelly. This is about 100 mLs of food. So we could, or triple or maybe even quadruple this and be able to make a lot of meals at once. A lot of people don't realize is that thickness is what can be so helpful for kids who struggle with throwing up and reflux. Formula just comes up so easily when they're coughing or our kids are sick all the time and they're working on their eating maybe and they have a sensitive gag reflex or they're just moving around. It just you burp a little bit, it comes up. So having a little bit thicker makes a huge difference.
Once you taught me that, I don't know how many comments I've made on Facebook group pages or people commenting on different things. Have you tried real food? And I always send them to your website and your Instagram page because truly I had that kid. That was Ezra. We spent 18 months of his life between the ages of 1 and 2.5 of him just vomiting all the time. Now, given most of that time it was an NG tube, and I know things are slightly different with an NG, but had I known then what I know now, I definitely, definitely, definitely would have pushed a lot harder to move to a G tube a lot sooner. But, time, information is power. But if you can empower another family to be able to move through their journey at maybe more of a rapid pace in order to get to something like using real food to stop vomiting, by golly, it makes such a difference, a
It
huge
does.
difference.
And I can't tell you how many times someone has tried everything, all of the medications, procedures, formulas,
Yep.
and then simply, and it's almost like they come to a blended diet as a last ditch effort because they've never heard about it before. It's viewed as risky or unsafe. And yeah, something a very smart doctor was not able to solve. Thicker food, real food made all the difference.
Yes. I
Yeah,
wish this is where we would start. And look, I know nothing's ever 100%, right? I know 100% of, chubby kids cannot always start. I understand that. But why are we going to a synthetic option first? I mean, look, we could go into all the theories that we have. I'm sure we both have theories as to why hospitals particularly and doctors go to those synthetic formulas first. But if we just strip it back and think about how our bodies function and what do we need in order to function? What do we need? We need basic nutrients. Yes, a synthetic formula can do that, but it's not as good as real food, and we can make that as natural as we want, get your free range eggs, go and get your unpasteurized milk if that's what you choose to do. Like there's so many ways that you can make it as whole source as you want.
right,
Or make it as easy, like I keep it pretty simple. I just go and buy my stuff from the store. It's very simple in my world, but I do try and look at things that have less processed items in them. So if I can get a natural peanut butter, I will do that. If I can get, we have a brand called where there's no
yeah,
A2 preservatives. Do you have that in the milk? Yeah. So that kind of thing where if you've got a kid that has tummy issues, strip it back, keep it as natural as possible. And then slowly, this is what we've done with Ezra, just slowly start reintroducing the things that our other non-tubby kids would have,
right,
And then now he's great. He can have pretty much anything. But as soon as we get into a run on my next, if once he's had about, I'm going to say about 3 weeks on the pump with the formula feed, the vomiting starts again. So what does that tell you? Like, I don't need to be a dietitian, a nutritionist, a pediatrician, an ER doctor. I don't need to be any of those things to know what is causing that. It's a synthetic formula milk, fake milk based product that is making him vomit. That's what it is.
yeah. And I think there's uh, room for everything. And to me, I like to paint the picture of if I was to drink a protein drink for one meal once a day, maybe every other day, just because I was on the run,
Yes,
I would probably be feeling fine. But if I got that every day for every meal, it probably would. And getting some fresh food feels good. And I can, you go on vacation, you're eating whatever you want, and you come back and you're like, okay, I'm gonna have a salad. And you eat the salad, you're like, I feel so better.
exactly. I need a heap of veggies right now.
Yeah, yeah. And this recipe, even though it's simple to make, maybe it feels
Yes.
too far beyond what you're ready for. So there's a lot of recipes available. We have a ton of recipes that are gentle introduction blends, lots of simple ones like chicken focused on the food that you might give your child, your infant, foods by mouth, so that you can take it slow. And I mean, you don't even have to blend it first. You could, you could give a sweet potato puree, a little applesauce, try a little store bought chicken, see how those go, and then put them together.
Love to just show everybody.
Yes, I would. Don't you love the
Blend,
it's
buddy. Look at this. I
so
mean, don't toot your own horn. I'll do it for you.
thank you.
This tool is amazing. I mean, look, I have had a really good play around with it. I have really had some fun with it and played with it and saved lots of recipes. And I mean, you can see that I've like saved things. You can see
Yeah,
it. Oh, look, that's me saving things. This app is a game changer. Whether you are just wanting to dabble and start or whether you are a veteran blender. You're going to love this. Not only does it have your whole suite of recipes, which are, by the way, amazing. I love, which a lot of things don't offer. I'll just show everybody that you can actually change it from US to metric. So depending on where you live, you can set it to you can add it, you can customize it. So I was saying to Hillary just before we started recording this episode that there was a recipe that I was looking at that I thought, oh yeah, I could do that today. I've pretty much got everything there. Oh, I don't have wholemeal bread. Never fear. I have white bread. I
yeah,
can switch that. I can switch that in this recipe. I can change it. It'll recalculate everything for me. It'll tell me if that changes anything, and if it does, then I'll throw a scoop of peanut butter in, or an extra scoop of maybe some honey or something to put in to substitute that loss of calorie if it drops it down. I have not come across any other tool that provides this level of accuracy. It covers whether you're US, whether you're in Europe or in Australia or New Zealand where we're using metric. It's unbelievable. Like, it's just
Thank you.
hats
We had a
off to you.
lot of fun. We had a lot of fun building it. And I mean, as a dietitian, I love the nutrition piece where,
Yes, of course.
clinicians like, what are you doing? And then you're like, I don't know, I mixed these things into the blender, but I only gave half of it. So how much is, all that's really hard. But you can just say, I gave
Very.
200 mLs of the peanut butter recipe, and it's going to tell you the portions and do the nutrition exactly. The next time your clinician says, well, what are you giving? You can print the report for them.
Is so good, which is so good. And we talked about in our other episode that we recorded was the pushback or the resistance from dietitians, and why is that a thing? It's usually, we've said, the fear of the unknown. They're not familiar with blending. They've never really done it. Maybe they haven't tried it themselves. They don't know of other families who are using the blending real food technique, which has been around forever. It's just that there hasn't been enough spotlight put on it. But what this does is gives you the ability to take the control. You control what your kid has, and then you can share it, and they can see exactly how many calories they're getting, how often they need the feeds. If there's anything that you need to trial and error, you can record it. So you're going to know, like, oh, we're going to try something new today in 2 meals. What happens if they have a funny reaction to it, or if it makes them sick? You've got it all recorded. It's right there. Like you said, it takes away those spreadsheets. It takes the use of 2 or 3 other apps that you're using trying to work out calories and trying to work out portion sizes and recipes, and one app that does everything. Like, so how can people get it? How can people get this app?
Yeah, so there's two ways to get it. There are options so you get to our website and there are
Yes.
two options for you, whether you want just to jump into the app and have the recipes, track things, but you can also get extra support. So we have a full community of really, really, really helpful families that want to support you. But it's as simple as going to the website. There's links to either your Android or your Apple. You download the app and you can get inside it. It's very easy.
Very, very simple. Like, I can't, yeah, it was so easy for me to navigate, to use, to download. The whole process was just simple as. I would strongly suggest, even if you're still not yet convinced or if blending is for me, download the app. Download the app and just have a look around. Even maybe create a recipe and just see how it feels. Even if you think, I probably won't give this to my kid, that's cool. The other thing I would love to mention as well, in conjunction with this exact recipe, the PB&J recipe that we've just blended, is something that I don't know if other people are doing it. I haven't really heard other people mention it, maybe for special occasions, but maybe not on an everyday, is a blend like this. If you've got a child that you are, and for this is Ezra, and I know other Tubi kids that are in the same boat, that are starting to learn to eat orally, or they're slowly starting to develop oral skills in conjunction with your dietitian. This is a great recipe where you could be feeding them, whether that's a bolus or whether that's a pump feed, but you could actually make the PB&J, have it all cut up on a plate, fun little plate for them with a cup of milk, and literally be like, what's in this pump feed or in this tube feed is exactly what's on your plate. There's so many recipes in there. I'm like, I would like to eat that.
They're really all based off of things that I like to eat. Like I'll be making something for my husband and I, um, and I'm like, oh, that would be a good blend recipe. So I save some and I make some the next day. And then of course do some kid friendly options. But there's a lot of recipes in there that, you know, reach every type of not eating cuisine, because we haven't, obviously expanded it to every type of, cultural thing. I would love to do that someday. But
Look,
tons and
time, right? Time.
yeah, 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 exactly.
It's a great resource. It's a really awesome tool. If you're not sure, just download the app, have a look at the recipes. I'm sure you'll find something in there that you'll think, I'm just going to give it a go. And you never, never know. It could be the turning point for your tube, whether that's an adult or a kid, that changes everything. Because I know for Ezra, it changed everything. Not just from a calorie deficit point it changed the vomiting. It stopped the vomiting. Didn't change it. It stopped it. So that's pretty significant. But how that on flows to everybody. The vomiting used to really distress my other 2 kids,
Yeah.
the cleanup and the damage to furniture, and it's horrible. It's horrible for the kid, but there is on-flow effects to your
100%.
home and your other parts of your family, and can't take this kid out because
Right.
they're gonna
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
it's hard to leave the house. Yeah. The
it's
car
really
ride.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and I would
so
love to oh, go ahead.
changes everything.
I would love to give this code to you for the app too. So people are on the fence, they're not so sure. You'll get 25% off your monthly subscription, or if you want to, jump in for a year. So that makes it even more accessible. So I hope we can put
That's
that in the
amazing. Yes,
too.
I will put all of that in the show notes below, and I've got it all linked on my Instagram as well, so if you jump onto that, you'll get through and you'll be able to join the community, which then will take you through to be able to join the app as well, so you'll be able to have both there as well. Yeah, that's so generous. Thank you so much. Just think honestly, it will I just truly believe it will really, really help you. I guess the last part of this is now we've made our blend, what do we do with the leftovers?
Yes, that is a great question and seems more complicated than it needs to be. So I want to reassure you that this is just like leftovers. So you can put it in a container, put it in the fridge, or put it in the freezer. It is important to do an airtight container, which is also the case for when we eat by mouth. We should be keeping our food in airtight containers just to minimize the risk of the foodborne illnesses. But you probably have a container on hand that you could use. So a lot of families use mason jars, milk bags. If you've done a lot of pumping, you might have some extra breast milk bags. I love these kinds because you can cut this little straw out,
Yes.
pour that into a syringe easily, pour it into your feeding bag easily. You get big sizes, so that's helpful. Another fan favorite is these deli containers that you can get on Amazon. You get 100 pack for $20. Love these. They stack nicely. This is an 8 ounce or a 240 ml, but so is this. You can get a lot more in your freezer if you use something like this. Other families will use, I guess you could consider these baby food, reusable baby food containers. They sometimes are a little bit more stackable, stack friendly than jars, but and there's lots of different sizes, shallow versus tall. But really, as long as it's airtight, if you have like a leftover thing, like you're just getting started and you don't want to invest in 60 mason jars or a bunch of these yet. And
100%.
these are
Yeah.
leftover containers. You can just start with that,
Yes.
put it in there. It's good in the fridge for 3 to 4 days.
Exactly the same as you would do with any kind of leftover. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you're not going to use it, put it in the freezer. And it's technically good indefinitely in the freezer. So then the
Mhm.
lose nutrition quality over time. Maybe you get some freezer burn. I don't see many people making 3 to 6 months worth of
Yeah.
food.
I
Um,
wouldn't personally, but yeah,
so
I don't
some
think
people
most
do
people
a
would.
month at a time, and that
Yes.
you might want to have a lot of good stackable containers for that. But if it gets lost in the freezer, that's why it's
Do you
good to do.
find that when they come out of the freezer that you need to add, like, more liquid to them? Or
No,
do
it actually
they're all
thinner.
good to go?
Yep.
Okay. They're usually thinner.
Yep, just
Okay.
a little bit, but that's actually been studied because it's a little. I don't know the science behind it, but yeah, the blends get a little bit thinner, which for most people is
Okay.
not a bad thing.
No, 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 I think that's good. Because I suppose you get that sort of iciness off the top of the like, where it has the
Right.
ice that sort of
Yep.
forms on top,
Yep. Yep.
which would
You
then
will
be
want to
water.
mix it. You don't need to blend it. If you blended it well the first time, the blender is what's going to break down the pieces. You don't need the blender to mix it. So something like this is really helpful to get it agitated back together because you're going to see some separation. The oil might get a little bit to the top, but a quick whisk of it before can be helpful. And two, I think colder food is going to be thicker. If
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
an issue for, you made your meal and it's looking a little bit thicker than you want, warming it slightly in a warm water bath or just letting it sit on the counter for 15, 20 minutes and then stirring it, you'll see a big difference between the thickness and that can be really helpful too.
I thought I would, just show people what we use as far as, like, when we're bolus feeding or syringe feeding, you may call it. We use these 60 ml enteral feeding tubes. These particular ones are reusable. So, how I generally do it is when the numbers start wearing off, it's time to toss it. The other thing that sometimes happens with
Okay.
these ones is when you pull it, this little rubber thing comes off, and that's usually another sign that that's had it. I pull everything apart, particularly with a blend, soak them in warm or hot soapy water for like 15 to 20 minutes after I finished. And then I air dry them either on, I know Tubi Fun sells them. They're like those little, they look like fake grass.
Yeah, yeah.
And you just stand them on those, but not so much the end, but definitely this part, you can stand it. Or I also have this little microfiber
That's
mat
cute. Yeah.
that I just sort of stand everything up on and just let it air dry. Very, very rarely will put a tea towel to a syringe. It will just let it air dry. I find it difficult to get into those little pieces. However, on Amazon or some of the syringe companies that we have, I'm sure it's all the same for you guys as well in the States. You can get these little cleaners,
Yep. Yep.
teeny tiny little cleaners. I've got a whole set here, different sizes that you can use. I think even like the baby bottles, those kinds of things, you could use those as well, kind of like you would use to get into the teats of a baby bottle.
Yes.
Similar
Have
kind of
baby
thing.
bottle stuff right here.
Yeah, see? Those kinds of things will all work with syringes as well. So you really don't need to recreate the
Right.
whole game. Use what's around. You can get it, you know, cheaply from Target, Kmart, like all of those kinds of places, probably even the
Yeah.
supermarket has
Yeah, do you
most of that
find,
stuff.
like, soaking them is helpful for you? I find that can be like, if you have time or,
Yes,
like, giving
yes.
them a rinse quick right after you.
Well, at the very least, they go like I will run my tap and I will just run hot, like put it on hot, make sure the tap is hot and just rinse it, run hot water through it. It depends. If it's gone to preschool where there's lots of bugs and lots of germs, 100% everything's getting soaked in the sink for at least 20 minutes to kill as much germs. Sometimes I even put boiling water from the kettle into the sink to really kill any of those buggies.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it would, yeah, rinsing it can be enough sometimes.
Yeah, always good to use hot soap and water, but if you don't have time to fully wash them, to avoid the food getting stuck and gunked in, just if you have time, you're near a sink, run it through hot soapy or just hot water to just
Yeah,
get rid of the
I
gunk at
agree.
least, and then you can.
Another really good trick is, I don't know, people are probably like, "Pff, yeah, I knew that." If you say this is my dirty one, right? If I fill this with hot water, so imagine that's got hot water in it, hot
Yeah,
water,
I've never seen
it
that
just
before.
pushes everything through. So if there's anything stuck in here, I've just pushed the hot water through. So that's a really good way to just like rinse it on the go. I mean, the benefit of these things is you can get the little, you've probably seen those, the little lids
Yeah.
that you can screw on, which is really easy. So you can take them. I can have this filled up
Yeah.
with a blend, really, 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 really easy to take with me. And same thing, you have access to water everywhere, right? Everyone has water, whether you're at a shopping center or you might be at a play center or, you could be at a therapy session, there's water. So you can always rinse something out. And if anything gets a bit stuck, just fill one of the syringes up and shoot it through. And I find that dislodges any of those little bits, like we've talked about with the cherries, the skins of the cherries, if any of those little bits get caught, nuts, chia seeds. I find chia seeds are probably the biggest thing for me
Yeah.
that tend to get stuck. The other thing I was going to show you real quick was the blender that we use.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is our blender. So it's a
Yeah.
Breville. Yeah, it is looks very similar to yours. It does have a different blade in it. So this
Oh,
blade's
yeah.
got the four in it. But the thing that I really like about this, whilst it's awesome that it's got a nice big top on it, you can add your extra little bits through the top section like your one. It's really, I find it really easy to clean. You can put it in the dishwasher as well, which is really helpful. It also comes with a cup. So if you don't want to do a big blend, which sometimes I don't, you get a little motor, which again, this is 2 levels, and this guy, which I'm not sure how many mils it takes. But, my husband will make smoothies in it all the time. And yeah, it does I think I usually get about 2 feeds worth for Ezra out of a full one of these. So if you don't want to do a big one or you don't have the time to clean it, this is great. So
That's
it just screws on, goes in, and away it goes.
Right,
Nice and
because we talked about the food sprays up the sides. If you only have a little bit, then you're gonna be dealing more with clogs. So having a blender, which a lot of them are compatible with, like, yeah, you said 2 a cup and then the big jug. So,
easy.
that would be a tip is if you are looking for blenders, just make sure that it's compatible with 2 different containers, the jug and the cup.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
helpful. Yeah.
Definitely. And the other thing I think with this is good is I haven't purchased it, but you can purchase lids. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to take it on the go, so if you were like, "Oh, I'm going away for the night, I want to take a blend," you could blend in this, screw the lid on, keep it in a cold bag like you would any other food, and then you've got your blend easy to take with you, which is
Yeah.
another really helpful way to travel. I do wonder if sometimes people are nervous or adverse to real food blending because the idea of having to travel with it sometimes feels a bit daunting. I would
Mhm.
say it's just the same as traveling with formula or something else, you know?
And
It's
there's
very
so many I have a lot of free information on, our website that goes through how to do blended feeds on the go and how to fill your syringes without the mess and, how to feed. So there's a lot of free information for getting started
yes.
on there as well. There's options out there for you to make this a lot easier.
Absolutely. There's so many options. There's so many ways. But you know what? If in my mind, if you can go to one place and get all the information that you need, so people can go to your website, socials, app, it's all connected, you're going to find everything that you need, which is spectacular. Just makes it so much easier.
Everything there is what I've learned from families. As a dietitian, we don't get taught this stuff, and I just was really sold on it after working with families and seeing the amazing transformation. And I love to cook. I love to cook, so I like to do all the
Well, the opposite to me.
So I got to experiment, and I love doing it. And over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, is
Yeah.
turned into this, and everything I've learned is been in that one spot. So
Just makes it so much easier. Thank you, Hillary. I really appreciate you going through all of this with us. I've picked up some extra tips myself,
thanks.
which is fantastic.
Yeah,
It's also taken some of my nerves and stress away about trying it through the pump. I really was a bit nervous, but
yeah.
I feel like today is going to be the day I'm going to blend, and tonight he gets a blend, and we'll see how that goes. And I
I have
suspect
one
it's
more
going
tip
to
for
be
your
great.
pump.
Yes.
It's the fork test of seeing how thick or thin something is. So if you
Yes.
take something like this has gotten pretty thick from those nuts and this sourdough bread, so this would not go through the pump. But if you scoop something that runs through the joints of the fork, it should go through a pump totally fine.
That's a great tip.
But if it doesn't, you need a little bit more liquid or warm it a little bit. Though you would warm it for your night feeds because we need to keep it a safe temperature. You need to keep it cold for that. But that's a good little
Yes.
pro tip to make sure your blends before you put it in the bag and then it doesn't work and take it
Yeah.
back up. Just test it with a
Yeah.
fork.
Okay. Good tip. Thank you very much. I will be doing that.
No problem. And thanks for chatting with me. It's so fun to show this stuff and just normalize using real food through a feeding tube. I like that I get to smell it. It's making me hungry.
Thank you. Thank you. I cannot thank you enough. This is just going to be something I hope that we see people saving the video and referring back to and going like, oh, yeah, that's right. What was that fork test we talked about? Like what was that? What was that storage information they talked about? All of those things that people can easily refer back to and quickly go, oh, that's right. That's how we did it.
Our community is like the one shops. If you like blend buddy and you want a little extra support, we have everything in like one spot for you too. And stay for a month, get what you need, and move on. That's great too.
Absolutely. It's totally up to you. And I guess the other thing to be aware of for anyone in Australia that is NDIS funded is that we can absolutely claim the use of this app and the community under low cost assisted technology. So that's another thing to think about as well is that we can actually claim that through our plan. So it's not actually coming directly out of your pocket. So that's quite nice. So to think about if you're self-funded, obviously you can do it yourself, but if you're plan managed, speak to your plan tracker about it and see what they say. But yeah, if as long as it aligns with your Tubi's goals, there should be no reason why this can't be
That's
funded through
awesome.
NDA.
Cool. Well, yeah, we would love to you all to meet Blend Buddy. It's the cutest little avatar that my assistant
It's
helped.
so cute.
Yeah, I was like
I
that was the
love
best
it.
idea. So yeah, we would love
It's
that.
so cute. It does feel like an extra hand. Like I feel like I've got support.
Yeah. Yep. That's what we need.
That's it. That's it. All right. Until the next time, there out there. Stay safe. We'll be back with normal programming with our podcasting in February. So not long to go now. But until then, please stay safe and we'll see you soon.